guys, welcome back to my channel. We are working on our mini series time, let's see, what is it, Place in Time collection with Graphic 45. We're doing our page build right now, and this is page 3. Super easy, but comes out so cool. Okay, so it's 3 pockets, 1, 2, and 3, but the top 2 are not sealed down, but the bottom one is. And this way you can have a tag here. Let me just get a piece of paper. Yep. Oh, here, this one will work. You can have a tag going in here to go all the way down. So that is going to be a huge tag. It's basically going to be almost the size of our paper. And then you have another tag that can go in here. And so that's still going to be a nice tag because you can bring it up as far as you want with whatever papers you're going to be using. And then this one down here will be for some smaller tags, which in this collection we have a lot of smaller tags. So this one can be just chock full of tags, the little ones. And plus with the smaller strips, because of the papers that we have to use, the smaller strips are very nice. You can also, you know, slide one through like that. You can bring this out and put this in like that. You can do anything you want with them. So they're very, very versatile. You can also glue the bottoms of each one of these top 2 down and just have a spot for little tags here and little tags here. So it's whatever you want. So those are your choices on this one. Let's get started. So I'll be right back with all you're going to need. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so on page 3, we're going to go ahead and utilize some of our scraps. Now, I have these from my scraps, and they are exactly the same length. Let me put my T on the top of my paper so I know for sure that that is my, what was it? 8 1/8 this way. Okay. So these are exactly the same because this was probably what was cut off the top of these to get our size off the 11. Okay. So let me tell you, they are 2.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches long. All right. And I have 3 of those. Then I have some 1-inch strips that were also cut off of these papers on the side. And I'm going to get my scoreboard out. Now these are 11-inch strips. My scoreboard only goes to about 8.5. So if all you have is the small scoreboard, it's no problem because we can make it work. So we're going to put our piece all the way along the edge. Make sure it's pushed in nice and firmly. Okay, and we're going to go at the 1/2 inch and score. And then we're going to flip it around. Push it in nice and firmly. I'm going to go and match it up. Okay, right down the 1/2 inch line. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this one. Flip it around. So still facing the same way, I just flipped it around. Just in case you're not quite catching that on the video. Okay, so now we have our 2 strips. Now remember, these strips were 2.5 inches. So I am going to put these 2 strips together so that they're nice and even. Now if your cutter can't do 2 strips, that's okay. Mine can. So I'm going to do 2 at a time so that then that will be for 1, and I'll know that they're exactly the same size. Not that big a deal because if it does stick out, you can just clip it off. All right, so I'm going to cut 3 sets of the 2 at 2.5. 1, and I'll just kind of lay them on my 3 pockets. Realign them before I put them back in the printer. Boy, I'm just keep calling this thing a printer. And set number 2, and then of course I drop them. Oy. Line them up. And one more set, because we need 3 sets. All right. And I dropped the last of it, but I'm leaving those. Okay, so now we are going to burnish down each one. See, I'm doing this set here. And pretty much you want to kind of, you know, try and make sure that when you fold it over, and I might tell you that the thicker the paper to me, until you get like into the 110 and stuff like that, the thicker the paper or the more substantial the paper is, the easier it is to get a nice fold on these. So, okay, so there's those 2. You want to make sure that they're lining up at the top and the bottom as you fold them. Oops, as you fold them together. And you can just kind of see that pretty quick as you fold them over. But again, take your time. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut off just a smidge, but we want to leave the tip. We don't want to cut the folded edge at all, but we do want to come right to it. All right, so we're just going to take a little off and have it look like that. Can you tell that it's not squared up anymore? So that's what we want to do on these. Just a little bit. And we're going to do all 6 of them. So I am coming along with you guys. I'm not going anywhere. We're just going to get this part done. Okay. And then I got my fingers in there weird. I don't know. So guys, it's amazing, and you should feel amazed at how much you've already done so far. You've got 4 pages done, and if you're just learning, you have learned how to do, well, you haven't learned the closures yet, but we've set up for, so far, 2 different closures to do. So that will be very cool. And we've got the doors. So you learned how to do, nope. Where is it? I thought I had it on top. Okay. So you learned how to do the doors. That's awesome. How to put a regular pocket in. Awesome. And of course, this is setting us up for one of the closures. And then this one, you learned how to set up multiple flaps on your mat page to make kind of a makeshift, you know, it's kind of a waterfall-esque kind of thing. So super cool. And now we're learning just the multiple pocket page. Now, believe me, there are numerous ways to do a multiple pocket page. Numerous ways. So you're learning one of the ways to do it. And as we go through the series, you'll see me do different kinds. But for this one, we're just kind of doing the introductory ones. Doesn't mean that your album is not going to be super cool. And we're going to learn to play around with our papers. Okay, so now I'm putting glue on the outside, one of the outside flaps. I'm going to match it down on the edge. So make it flush with the edge. Take your time, get it right, and then burnish down. You want these to be nice and straight. You want them to line up with this edge here so that when you put your pockets in, they're going to lay nicely on your paper. Where's the other one? Here it is. If you did cut off a little bit of the folded edge, it's fine. But I want you to take note of that and make sure that you are, if it's too short, make sure that you put it all the way up to the top edge, okay? And leave what little bit might not go, leave the open space at the bottom, all right? You always want that top edge, which is what you're going to be seeing and using, you know, putting tags in and out and things like that. So you want that top edge to have that extra hold for your paper, extra support for your paper, okay? And the back end, you know, not a whole lot happens down there. So if you've got just a little titch, like this side, it doesn't go all the way down to the end, but you know, you glued that. These won't get glued down, but it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure that if it's too short, you're lining it up with the top of the page. Now, if there's a lot of difference, then just go back to the drawing board, cut your strips again, and make them a little longer. But for the most part, these are rocking it. Rocking it. We're having a good time. Well, my son, tell you about him and his test and stuff. He still has not heard. So we're kind of assuming that he went into a pile of no, and you know what, we'll get to them when we get to them, and call them back and tell them, no, you don't have it. We're hoping that. He was going to call Friday and actually could not get through. The phone number that came with his paperwork was just busy. So we don't know. But he's feeling much better. He hasn't had a fever in days and days and days. And so his work actually took him back. Said, yeah, come on in, but you know, we're going to isolate you as much as we can, but you can come on back to work just until we hear. So tomorrow, which will be Monday, he will... Oh, good. And this one is a little teeny bit too long. So, because again, I told you we're not perfect. We're going to make them too short or too long, but that's okay. Then in this instance, I put the long at the bottom, and I line up the top just like I want it, nice and flush. So just make sure you do the same on both ends. Okay, again, take your time. Line it up just at the edge, okay? This isn't a race. This is a journey of creativity. And we are just having a blast because we are in our craft rooms and we are doing what makes us happy, right? And right now, I think everybody can use a little extra happy. Yes. Okay, so now we're just going to take and we're going to line the first one up, or I should say the bottom one up to the bottom of the page. Again, we've got our T for top, so we know that we're doing this correctly. And we're going to put glue along the outside edge. Most important, because you don't want your pocket lifting up. So make sure you're going to have plenty of glue there at the outside edge. And then this one being our bottom. And I have the one that's a little too short, so I know that I have the bottom is correct. And a little line of glue at the bottom. So we're going to line up our first corner, pinch it down, pivot it until we get the side lined up. And hopefully it's going to line right up along the bottom of the page and over against the other one. And it does. Yay! And then we're just going to burnish this down. Now on pockets, especially because you're kind of, you know, maybe new at this, you want to make sure that you can put some paper, because when you put glue on this and you put it down on the paper, glue can squirt out of the bottom here and actually get onto your back of your pocket, and then the inside of the pocket is going to stick as well. And then you have to get in there and really work it around and take a chance of messing your paper up. So you just want to make sure that you didn't have any glue, and just sliding a little piece of paper in there to make sure. You can hold it open and look. There's a little bit of glue sitting right out here, so I'm just going to get my tweezer. There we go. All right, so there is pocket number one. Now we're going to do the top pocket. And I'm going to be able to do about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And that's pushing it because these are so large. And I'll show you, once we get this done, what we can do with the middle one to make sure that we're not really squished for space, if we are squished for space. Now, I'm not gluing the bottom because I want to be able to put my large tag in all the way down. If you don't, if you want to just use a lot of small tags, then go ahead and glue your bottom down as well. Now, I'm going to leave, I guess I'm even leaving a little less than a 1/2 inch. It's probably about 3/8 of an inch. Now, if you want a there we go. You just want to make sure it's straight. See, now I have all these rulers. I have put my edge of my paper along here, and I have put my pocket down, and I know I'm lined up because I'm using the grid on this is the Tonic Studios Tim Holtz. It's the glass one, and it sits up off of your table, and I really like it. Now my girlfriend Laurel, she had a glass desk, so she's worked on glass, and she did not like it. But she's like a clean freak. I mean, not in a bad way. I mean, she's got a beautiful house, but she can't stand anything to be messy. I can live with this being messy, and then I clean it all up after each project. Unless it gets really bad and I'm too embarrassed to let you guys see it. And I'm just kind of digging around a little bit and get some of that excess glue off. Okay, so now we have our third one, and we're just going to center it between the two. As long as you have about 1/8 of an inch between the two, then you should be just fine, okay? Because that way you can still get tags in very easily, and you can still, you know, weave them through the paper or whatever you want. But as long as you have about 1/8 of an inch, if not, then just go to your cut, open your hinges up, go to your cutter, and cut a little bit off if you'd like it to be. I wouldn't cut too much because you still want them to look rather uniform. But you could cut like 1/8 of an inch off, and then you'd have a little bit more space. If you are butting up against both of them, or have just such a tiny bit of room, then just cut a little bit off the center pocket and try and fix it that way before you glue it down, okay? But I'm fine, and again, I am not going to glue the bottom, the long side. I'm not going to glue that down because I want to have the bigger, longer tags, because smaller tags, you know, you're not going to really put a whole lot of pictures on small tags. And how many small tags do you really need to have? But if you do your thing differently than I do, then by all means. So we're going to line this up. Let me get my board here. So get myself lined up on my grid so that I know I'm getting this even and straight. Even and straight. And actually, in reality, if you line it up along this side, it should line up along this side perfectly. Well, you know, I say perfectly a lot, but nicely. How about that? Let me try and use that word instead of perfectly. Okay, so if you want to put a little T here so you still know that this is your top, but obviously your bottom is the actual pocket, and then these two. Okay, so that is our third page. So super cool. So we have this one, and this one so far. Yes. Alrighty. So we've got 2 more styles to go, but now you have homework. You make another one of these, and I had enough in my scraps to make both of mine. So hopefully you have enough in your scraps to make both of yours. All right, so I have 2 of each kind. Yay. And you should have 2 of each kind. Awesome stuff here, guys. We are getting there. We are getting there. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you like this one. Hang in there with me, and we will just keep making these until we get what we need. And if you haven't subscribed to me, hit that little subscribe button. Ding the bell so you get when I do post, you'll get a little announcement. Hey, Lisa posted. You better go over there and see what your next page looks like. All right, guys. Till next time. Talk to you later. Love you all. Bye-bye.